Okay, so one time I had this idea for a sermon. I'd been reading the first chapter of the Bible, and I had noticed that light is something that's created, but then later there's the sun and the celestial bodies that actually give off light. And somehow I had this brilliant insight that there is a light that's different than the light that you and I think of when we think of light. Can you see why even the original insight was a little wobbly? And so I decided, I know what I'm going to do, because I was doing this whole sermon on telling the truth and living authentically and honestly. So I decided that I was going to build a solar system out of exercise balls like you do. And so the room that I would be preaching in was in the round. And so I decided to get these giant exercise balls, and each one would be a different planet. And then we hung these hooks in the ceiling. And so at the beginning of the sermon, I took these balls and I handed them out to the audience, and I had people stand on their chairs and hang them from the ceiling. And so I made the room into like a model of the solar system. And then I had them dim the lights, and I lowered down a disco ball in the middle of the room while we played the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack so that we could see, of course, the sun. So if you're thinking this sermon sounds a little ridiculous from the get-go, you are totally correct. And I had had such hopes for the sermon because I was going to talk about how we live in the light, which means we live authentically and we don't have these deep, dark secrets that we're suppressing that are eating us alive. And we tell the truth and we live with integrity. All of this because we want to live in light. And somehow I connected this insight about the solar system with how you think about money. And I had all sorts of connections that in my head were fantastic. And so I do this sermon. I decided at the end I was going to invite people to live in the light. And then I was going to have them dim the lights in the outside and then bring the lights up in the middle of the room and invite people to step out of the dark into the light. And I'm telling you, have you ever had something where in your head it's awesome? You've got all sorts of grand plans, but then you actually do it. And I'll never forget doing it. And that thing just fell so flat. It was just like crickets. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, people literally came up after that sermon and would say things like, remember that album that you recommended? I bought it this week. It's pretty good. Like, hey, do you want to go to lunch with us? Like no one mentioned my brilliant, eloquent, convicting, inspiring sermon. That thing just flew nose first and crashed into the ground. So here's the thing. You're going to fail. You're going to try things and it's not going to work. You're going to hang lots of exercise balls from the ceiling and all you're going to get is crickets. And it's okay. And here's the thing. If you tried it, then you didn't fail. If you threw yourself into it, then you didn't fail. If you gave it everything you have, then you didn't fail. See, failure is totally overrated. And actually later, those are the stories that actually bring you the most joy to tell. If I told you stories about, and then I tried this and it was awesome, and then I tried that, and oh my word, we were kicking some ass, and then I tried that, and oh, everything I did was easy and it went great, and people are like, wow, come on, seriously, those stories, those aren't the stories you tell at the dinner party, are they? The stories you tell are about when you fell flat on your face. Because failure it's not just that it's overrated. Failure is how you make your way in the world. It makes you stronger, makes you tougher, makes you more grateful. It reminds you of the joy of being here.